kind of important. Hey there. If you just caught us as we went live on video, while I was screwing around with some other things, I was just saying I got to do, we were supposed to go live on, I got to look at my keyboard to do these call letters, WZQR in Pine Island. And hold on, I'm also getting caught up on Discord. There we go. How Hassan Abi does all these different things as he streams and pays no attention to you. And yet you watch the guy. Why? I need to find, see, that's, I don't know if that's the one he's looking for. That's the streaming URL. The general manager from, I'll just say ZQR, is looking for the MP3. We're in MP3. That's to the website. I don't want that. Yeah, sorry for those of you on listening to Yergz Radio. I'm looking at some of the things right now. Welcome, first of all. I'm going to give you a shout out here in a second. As soon as I zoom in, hello, Atlanta, DC, Kansas, New York, Jacksonville, this time in Florida, San Diego and LA, getting your asses up out of bed 8 o'clock in the morning. Welcome. And a bunch of others. And I'm sure Rainbow Radio's got some. I got to find something off of Yergz Radio. And I think that I just saw it. But radio information, maybe I can get it there again. What I'm looking for is a stream key. Let's try to see if I get, and I have no idea. For as user-friendly as this is, it's not organized well. And I mean that with so much love towards BR Logic, our internet service provider for radio. I'm just going to send him this one. Copy link address. So the GM is going to do a soundtrack with today's show. And and now I have like 9 other, here we go. Yeah. This is it. So hopefully we'll be on WZQR today. I thought that was what you wanted, but the other link threw me off. Here you go. I also thought I sent him this link too, but I don't know. Yeah, so they're on a company called Live 365, which we used to be. We couldn't get it to work, and clearly they have done something that's made it better because this guy's live. Although I'm not one of their agents, I'm reading an email. I'm not one of their jocks. So whatever. $750, or actually a $900 Gretsch guitar. It was now $750. I'm reading some junk email. I get stuff from Guitar Center because I get mics and stuff like that there. I got my XLR cables from there. I got my headphones from there, my earbuds from there. Where are they, by the way? Oh, they're still in the other studio. Oh, it's Monday. Another restless night last night with Matrix, unfortunately. That poor dog. I wish there's so much more that I could do for him. But his GI issues, and we went for a good long walk last night before bed. Didn't matter. Halfway through the night, he's still gagging and hacking, and I'm like, okay, we're going to go for another walk. Let's do it. So, title of today's show, well, it's both sides now, but the metadata. Oh, I got to start on Instagram too. There we go. I hate the fact that you have to switch over on Instagram to go live manually, even though you're using, in my case, Restream to broadcast to it. Anyway. Okay, so flexible spelled wrong. That's probably bad. Date titles. Flexible. Flexible in 2025 when Jane gets here in the next hour. We're going to talk about moving into 2025 and on what will you be flexible and on what are you going to maintain a firm position. Things like, of course, being MAGA and dealing with wokies, or being a wokie and dealing with MAGA, whichever. I just replied to somebody over the weekend. 11. Wow. 11 hours, 11 minutes, 11 seconds. I just replied over the weekend to somebody trying to slam me for not being a conservative, which I am. I fancy myself on many levels conservative. I still got thousands of dollars sitting in the bank because I haven't spent it, although I'm on a budget. Travis Evans from The Point. Check that out Tuesdays. And I think we're going to try to, on this Tuesday, make his Yergz radio debut. You can get him on Facebook. I think his own personal. Put your page up there, too, if you got one for the show, unless it's just to Travis G. Evans. But former sports commentator, he was just telling me this story last week. Former sports commentator. And remind me, Travis, was it George Floyd? Who was obviously, not on the best side of some people and cost him his life. Something that, we'll say probably shouldn't have happened. Coming from somebody formerly in law enforcement. And he commented on a sports show where many of the fans said that's not what we do here, even though it's his show. That was a head scratcher. But I mean, you do this for the fans. And I say that in broadcasting, not just sports. Like, I do this for you. If there were other intelligent, bipartisan broadcasters out there, yep. So you can get it right there on Travis G. Evans. And hopefully tomorrow night, 8 p.m., 8 a.m. tomorrow night. 8 p.m. tomorrow night will also be on Yergz Radio. I think 8 to 10 or 7 to 9. Let me know that too. We'll put it up there. And I put it on my sheet too to start plugging that and other shows for Yergz Radio. I'm getting that in better shape too. Shout out to David Beckmeyer, who's kind of helped me get off my ass with that. He's actually got, using his control, his access on Yergz Radio that I gave him a long time ago. But now he's doing that to keep his own shows up to date, which I really appreciate. That's such a huge help. And yeah, so I'm walking the dogs this morning because I want Matrix to try to be able to go to the bathroom, be resting as he is right now. I keep looking at my monitor. I can tell some of my hair standing up. And while I'm doing that, of course, I'm getting ready for the show. I'm on my phone, and I find something that is absolutely brilliant. I've been looking for this. I find it. And I continue walking the dogs. I get home. I pick up my phone to get a link or a screenshot. It's this really long, drawn out explanation of why MAGA folk, maggots, as I call them, don't understand why so many of us in the rest of the world don't get their infatuation for tea rum. And it goes through this long list of all the things he screwed up, did badly on, said or acted poorly, and we, the anti-Trumpers, say, okay, we understand. Yay, that's good for you. Blah, blah. With each one, we help you legitimize your poor decision. And at the end, the thing reads, you don't understand why we think you're stupid. Well, it's because the other options are even worse. It's just us being nice. And I'm like, this is brilliant. Absolutely what I needed. And in every single incident, like where he talks about the Central Park Five, E. Jean Carroll standing in Central Park and shooting somebody and not losing any votes, et cetera, et cetera. There's a citation for it. And I'm like, has anybody heard that anywhere at all? Maybe. And I was just like, thank you. I get back here to the house. I take their harnesses off, start hanging everything up. I go back to Facebook, and it's gone. And that's why I was sort of, I don't know, I started on time, but I wasn't totally ready like I wanted to be, like I still want to be, because I spent so much time. I spent like 20 minutes to like 10:57 when my alarm went off. That's the time I try to actually go live on video. And you just see, the overlay of the show's artwork until we get started. And I'm like, no, I can find it. I'm close. I'm scrolled down far enough. I'm almost there. Nothing. And I don't know if it was something that I commented on while I was walking. And if Oh, somebody's mentioning me. In the Marie Cerizio. Cerizzo. Oh, I love these. So one of the things I posted on oh, did you know this? The 4 models of Tesla spell the word sexy. The basic one is a Model S or Sport. The next step up is a 3, which looks like a backwards E. The third model is the X. And the top of the line is the Y. Ugh. And the other thing about him wanting to go to Mars, apparently there was a book written way back before he was born about Earth. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Excuse me. About Earth needing to relocate to multiple planets for survival. And the head of the movement. So there's the link. Facebook.com/groups/Trapdoor Media Group. Search Trapdoor Media Group. We'll leave the link in the chat. I'll put it in the show notes. And you can message me on my either at my email address or the group email address, which is newsnewz@yergz.com, or my Facebook page, Ross Yergz. Search that. Don't go to my personal account. I'm on the page much more frequently as the story I'm trying to tell you. But also, my personal account is not for business like this. It's for mom and family and whatever else. All right, so the leader of the group to Mars, the title of this person is called the Elon. And Elon's dad was so infatuated with this idea, that's how he named his son, Elon Musk. Cool story. Your son's an asshole. There's that. But I'm brokenhearted. I seriously am. That I'm looking at all these other people who have commented on anything I've said or done. And so, and now this is what people on the right and the left, and I don't know, I'm not helping matters, I know it. But people on the right and the left are putting all these Facebook memes up that are trying to, how would you say, trying to show their superiority and trying to show their superiority. And in the process, I mean, the right loves them some projection. And some of these, I gotta reply to because it's just, I'm thinking that I'm really liking stirring the pot. Like this Darren Grant guy. The post, and honestly, I think some of this is being done by the other side. The post, is that the post? Oh, there it is. Okay. The photo in this post is a billboard, which you can tell is artificial. It's not even AI, it's Photoshop poorly. And I think this is the point. There's a square pride flag on the one end, and the remaining two squares are a rectangle that has the following: gay pride flags is to be taken, spelled TAKIEN, out of all classrooms immediately. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Well, first of all, it's flags. So instead of is, you would use are. But you don't even need that. You could say gay pride flags need to be taken out of all classrooms immediately. And then you misspell taken. So I can't help but think that this is actually being done by the left to make the right look stupid, which nobody else has said on the right, which makes me think that might not be true. Or it is. And they're just too stupid to see that, to think of that. So my comment on the post is maybe, just maybe, if you were in the classroom, your English would be a little better. Maybe. And when I said if you were in the classroom, I should have read it that way. You is in all capitals, as opposed to the gay pride flag. Well, got some replies. MD, I don't know how, MDEE, last name MUHREE, however that's pronounced. God love you. Could have easily been a typo. That's the point. It's a typo. And no, there's grammatical incorrectness. So I doubt that's a typo, because is nowhere close to the word are, A-R-E. And as such, I'm going to bank that one on stupidity and ignorance, or the left setting up the right. But in either case, it got comments. Darren Grant says, unlikely. See, do you hear that? That's Matrix. He's got GI issues. And if we go for a walk, sometimes all he needs to do is pee. And that settles everything down. We went for a walk at 3:30 this morning, because we already went for a walk at like 11 or 1 or whatever it was, 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And he was coughing like that in bed. And just some of these ignorant, So Muri, we already talked about. It's not a typo, it's stupidity, it's ignorance. Darren Grant says, unlikely. Do they even teach basic spelling and mathematics anymore? Is there room amongst all the ideological indoctrination? You mean like the Ten Commandments, Darren? That's Christian. How do you? Well, it's actually Jewish too because it's Moses. But how do you welcome Muslims who don't practice the Bible? Or do I practice the Bible? I don't know. I don't practice organized religion. Being gay, I'm not going to be a part of an organization that doesn't want me to be a part of it. I got too much other things to do. But also, as the late Jimmy Carter, rest in peace, once pointed out to the chagrin of the Bible thumpers, who are not religious people or good Christians, that's a slur. Jesus never talked about homosexuality. Ever. Probably because he spent his life hanging out with 12 dudes. So when you talk about ideological indoctrination, Darren, I certainly hope you're talking about that. Because no, I know that this is a thing now, but I've never seen a drag queen in an elementary school. They're certainly not the registered sex offenders that I've got down here in Florida. So when you talk about indoctrination, let's make sure we get it right. Matthew Rapalea says, so you have to attack the person, the true you. I have dyslexia, and because of people like you, I don't post. Well, guess what, Matthew? That's probably a good idea because I see grammatical errors in your comment. You start off with, so you have to attack the person. So is not capitalized. The true you, complete sentence. Well done. One in a row. I have dyslexia. So do I. And because of people like you, period. I don't post. Okay. So first of all, and should be and because of people like you, comma, I don't post. So you've made a wise decision, Matthew. Stop embarrassing yourself. Or maybe if you don't know what you're talking about, shut up. Better way to look at it, I think. Finally, Graham Kelly says, who cares? Just get it out. Why? The bright colors. It's better than the dark blue drab Trump flag. Speaking of indoctrination, and, we're not a cult. Are you sure? So, Kyla Bolden, and, I'm fine with this. I agree. But I also agree with keeping all religion and quote unquote prides out of school. School is an adult. Oh, excuse me. I got allergies and my eyes are foggy today. School is about education and education only. What the kids believe in and talk about is, where do you people learn to speak? This is exactly what this guy says and exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe if your fat asses were in a classroom for a little bit, you wouldn't sound like such an ignorant screwball on social media. Kyla Bolden says, again, I agree, but I also agree with keeping all religion and quote unquote prides out of school. Could either be two sentences, I agree, period, but I also agree, or I agree, comma, but I also agree. But either way, that's fine. School is about education and education only. Actually, that's not true. It's also about socialization and developing social skills. So, unless you're considering that as part of education, then you're wrong. At which point, I would say learning about things like military and veterans and pride and why certain aspects of our society, like the black community, the gay community, and others, need pride in the first place. What the kids believe in and talk about is them, but the school shouldn't be talking about any of it. What? I think what we're supposed to say here, what the kids believe in and talk about is up to them, but but the school shouldn't be talking about any of it. Proofread. It's just me. It's just me. Sorry, honey. I'm just jumping up and down in my seat. That's my doorbell. June Bomer says remove the Bible also. I agree. There are religious schools that they can go to learn the Bible. There's Sunday school and church and whatever else to learn the Bible. If we want to stop indoctrinating our kids, let's get serious. Or my favorite. Thank you, Dorothy. Dorothy Walton Mosso, Mosso, Mosso. Another meme created to cause problems where there are none. Bless you, sweetie. This one sounds interesting. John Kolaga, Kolaga. I'm all for celebrating all of it. Gay Pride, Black Pride, St. Patrick's Day, Dingus Day. I don't even know what the hell that is. Dyngus Day, etc. Understanding of other celebrations in a key. I think that's going to be my next bit. Is social media ignorance. Social media, what do we call it? English 101? Maybe call it that. Understanding of others. S apostrophe. Well done. Understanding of other celebrations is, not in, is a key to mutual understanding. I see it as part of the cultural quilt called America. You know, that's actually well said, despite that is a typo. MD Muri, that is a typo. One letter in the whole thing was wrong. And, well, the letter N is nowhere near the letter S. So maybe they type fast like I do and have that form of dyslexia like I do. Since I've been on some meds, I haven't typed entire words backwards. Let's pull something out of the air. That, T-H-A-T. T-A-H-T. Didn't even until, oftentimes I'll take a break after, when I'm doing things fast like that, I'll proofread each sentence as I go in for comments like this, because I'm trying to keep my mental processes, thoughts in order. And I don't want to move on to something else. I've found that for me, it's better to not move on to something else until this one thought is coherent and it works, people, is coherent and well written. And so, yeah, it works. And I highly recommend, you just, bottom line, take your time, proofread. I really want to get back in the gym. It's just that I don't want to leave this and not get stuff done. Oh, that breaks my heart, hearing that poor dog. I'm actually going to take a break, and I'm going to let him and the puppy outside. And we'll be back with some morning motivation. And Jane Stahl's coming in about 20 minutes. So 99.1 WDJY, America One Radio, Rainbow Radio, Yergz Radio, and hopefully WZQR. I'll bring the phone with me and see what they're up to. And we'll be back after this. Dope. There we go.
What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching. Dunk tanks. Sauna. Everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off. You can scream. You can yell. And you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. Hey, what's in your wallet? Well, if you want something that gives you zero fraud liability for unauthorized use, flexible due dates, just look in your wallet or look in mine. Go to CapitalOne.com. Actually, go to my Facebook page. Click on the affiliates link and find Capital One. Use my link to apply today. Capital One.
And one more.
Hey, gang, it's Yergz. What are you doing right now? What are you doing? Are you with a group, some agency, to get your own business? Are you reaching them? We do. You get emails from me, and we get the help from Constant Contact. Go to my Facebook page, Ross Yergz Yerger. Hit the link for Constant Contact.
Back in time. So as you can see, I was not comfortable during the first 40 minutes of the show. And so I went and got one of those hair rubber band thingies. There's just like this, and it still is. There's like this little wave on the top of my head where my hair's not in line. So I'm putting it in a ponytail as best as I can, at least to get through the next hour. So, yeah, I'm talking about behavior in social media. We've got a week until ASAT gets re-inaugurated. And hopefully the phones will keep that down. Yeah, good enough. So, yeah, we got a week before ASAT gets re-inaugurated. And, I'm trying to... Oh, Momentum Fitness commented on Instagram. Awesome. I'm trying, like I did in 2017, to get behind this incoming administration. And everything I see like this is the same thing that I saw in 2017. This divisiveness where people are trying to, and now I see less attempts at, bringing both sides together from the left, because and I'm on the left too, as much as I'm also on the right, we went through this 8 years ago. And I was told by maggots, we don't need you and we don't want you. This is exactly what one guy told me. And I was right. They didn't last more than 4 years. I was wrong in my faith in American society that they would keep them out. So here we go. Another 4-year ride. But I'm going to look for it. I'm going to Google it. And that what I was talking to you about earlier of the it was well written too. Everything that the one person did, it was a cut and paste from somebody else. And as we were walking, I was going back and hitting some of the links to the stories, which essentially were citations. You don't believe me that he said I can stand in whatever it was, Central Park or Fifth Avenue or whatever, and shoot somebody and nothing would happen to me? Yeah, that's kind of happened. Not that he shot somebody, but he has, what would you say, violated other people? Fraud? Going after people politically, like he's been saying he would. We shouldn't be surprised there. But I think the biggest thing that should be, on some level, your first clue that things aren't going to go well is that look what's happening. And what I mean by that is he's got so much infighting within his own cult. Sorry if that makes your, as I've said, sorry if that makes your pussy hurt. Oh, here's something from DNR. Yep. This week or next with Romain, co-owner, DNR Studios. There we go. Shout out to Romain and Derek, my friend of probably 15 years. We met when I was going up to New York regularly from DC, assigned to the Hillary Clinton detail. He then was at Sirius XM Radio on the OutQ network with Romain. So yeah, Romain Patterson from Derek and Romain writing back today. So yeah, that's moving forward. I don't know what they're doing at ZQR. I always have to look at the keyboard. That's so funny. ZQR in Pine Island, Florida. The town's called Pineland. The area in which it is on is Pine Island. The AM/FM station is actually rather small, but they've got 7 internet stations that also broadcast to that. And that they get, like, their website gets 2 million hits a month. Where is it? Ours is a very small 501c3 nonprofit organization that operates a single low power FCC licensed FM station. Okay, so it's only FM. WZQRLP, Bokeelia, Florida, as well as a Part 15 AM station. So it is both. In addition, we deliver. I stuttered there. That was not him. That was me. That was me. But do you see the difference between somebody with an education who writes an email and people without an education who write on Facebook? Continuing. Oh, this breaks my heart hearing him cough in the background. In addition, we deliver programming via 7 internet formats hosted by Live 365. We talked about that earlier. I used to be with them. There were some things we couldn't get to work and some other things they don't have. Like, for example, I just heard Jane click. That's probably her. She could not have a show on my station. They didn't allow for multiple connections for different DJs. Well, like, really? So I couldn't stay with them. Most of the commercials you hear are inserted online by Live 365. So I remember this. If you allow them to insert commercials without sharing profits, your payment is less. So you don't have to pay as much, but you have to have commercials, and you don't get paid for them. Which, for somebody like this, it's a nonprofit. They really can't have commercials. And we talked about me still being able to allow to have mine. Our broadcast station cannot air commercial announcements. To date, we have received no compensation for internet commercials, and we are staffed entirely by unpaid volunteers. We have no profit motive. Okay, so I'm not getting paid to be on your station. Got it. Still welcome you. In addition to Live 365, our streams are also carried by tunein.com. So that's a radio directory. They carry the stream from Live 365 in their directory and several other platforms, other directories. In addition to Live 365, we are affiliated with Liberty Radio Network.fm, Feature Story News, Bonneville International. Glenn, you listening to this next one? Sportcat. Into the Paranormal. See, Glenn's got one. Para or normal guys. Para-or-normal guys. Paranormal. Para or normal. This one is the parabnormal. Into the parabnormal. So abnormal instead of normal. Circus Forecast. Oh, no, Sirius Forecast. I got to look that one up because Sirius streaming spelled the same way. CIRRUS is who one of my providers is. See what this one is. I don't know that SiriusForecast.com though. Sirius Forecast. Give your listeners the local weather. Start a 14-day trial. See, I would love this if I wasn't a national station. Like Yergz Radio is global. Really? So if I could geofence this, Simeon. I wonder if that's the one. That sounds like the one that I have to have for Derek and Romaine. Sam Broadcaster Pro, OmniPlayer, and more. Easy setup, no additional software to buy, save more than 66 compared to other services, fully customizable with our online portal. Listen now. Listen to real-time 30-second local forecast. Enter your postal code. I should just keep coming back to this website to see what the weather's going to be like. I mean, really. Sponsors. Increase revenue by selling sponsored spots that will pay at the end of the weather forecast. Have up to 4 per day or unlimited using our sponsor lists. Weather alerts. Series plan only. Alert your listeners to inclement weather in the U.S. They are provided by the National Weather Service. Click here for more info. License-free background music. Downloading forecasts. Always 30 seconds. So the forecast. Oh, it's always 30-second weather. Okay, yeah. Custom file name. So what? Modifiable voice, station company name and slogan, different measurement systems, cloud-based volume sample rate. Starting at $70 a month. Oy. Stratus, Cumulus, Nimbus, and Cirrus. Well done. Well done. I think that's something I would add. I can't afford to drop $60 a month just for weather right now. When do the forecasts get updated? Series forecast available. Type of support do you provide? And it still doesn't tell me if they geofence for larger areas. But that's still cool. Still good to know. I think I heard a doorbell ring. So let's see if I'm right. I am. We have a co-host. It's no longer me just rambling. Hello there.
I love when you ramble.
I had the perfect thing for today.
What did you
I'm
have?
walking the dog. I'm walking the dogs before the show about, what are we coming up on, about noon, about an hour and 45 minutes ago. And I find this thing where somebody on Facebook is explaining why we, the non-Trump supporters, have put up with Trumpers and called them stupid. And it lists a long list of all, considering that we're still on FM radio right now, well, I'll just say all the shenanigans that Trump has gotten himself into. Trump University, fraud,
Bibles,
Trump casinos and hotels, bankrupt, construction projects, contractors being screwed, et cetera, up to and including things in his presidency. I could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and nothing would be done. That kind of thing. And with it was a citation proving the argument being made in that one statement. So, Trump University is fraud. Here's the citation proving it.
Got it.
Trump casinos went bankrupt.
Yep.
Here's a citation proving it. One right after the other. You're scrolling through this, and I'm like, okay, we're coming to the end. No, we're not. There's more. And it gets to the end. I skipped half of it. Just I get the point. What's the finale? I skipped half of it. And I get down to the bottom, and it says, "We call you stupid because that's us being nice. Because the alternatives are even worse." And I'm like, wow, this is a whole show right here. I could ramble on this for a week. I get back here. I take the dog's harnesses off. And I get situated. I sit down. I pick up my phone. It's about 20 of 11, quarter of 11. It was about 20 of 11. And it's gone. Facebook refreshed. There's new posts in front of it now. And I spend the next 20 minutes till like 10:57, 58 to like I start opening my checklist and I start rushing through and getting everything ready. And it's gone. And I spent a little over 15 minutes, almost up to 11 o'clock, trying to find this damn
Looking
thing.
for it.
And I know if I spend another 2 hours searching for it through like Google searches, but I mean, so what I did instead was I spent today, I didn't do like Pierre's Pot or Morning Motivation like I said I was actually going to. I just went through other Facebook posts to kind of prove a point that in 2017, when I was floored to see Trump beat Hillary, well, that was 2016, but 2017 when he took office, I was told by Trumpers, we don't need you and we don't want you. Now he's saying that this is going to be a presidency about unity, which I think everybody forgot he said. And I went through and read some of the comments that were responses to my comments or my posts that the outright blatant discrimination by people who call themselves churchgoers. Like, do you not appreciate the irony in that? Or see the hypocrisy? And one of the comments was about getting the pride flag out of classrooms. And somebody commented about, like, because we don't need indoctrination. You mean like the 10 Commandments? Or the Bible? Or the Pledge of Allegiance? Because, I mean, really, that's what the Pledge of Allegiance is. We're not one nation. We're not. And in response to Trump wanting to annex Canada, making them the 51st state, and I think at some point he also said he would do the same to Mexico. Somebody did another Facebook meme that says, we offer a better solution. And it's just this line that goes right through the middle of the contiguous United States. And anything above that is Canada. And anything below that is Mexico. And totally does away with the United States. And I'm like, for as much as I really don't want to live in Mexico, that's kind of not a bad idea. Because I'm just so sick.
I like the reputation of Canadians.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you hearing that? Can you?
But anyway, I want to ask you, because last week one of the things we talked about was your resolution to be more Mr. Rogers. How's that going?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Oh, that's Matrix. Oh, that breaks my heart. He has this GI issue, and he does. We went for a walk. We gave him a chance to go to the bathroom. He does, and I think everything's under control. So I said, okay, go ahead, go lay down. And now he spent the past 20 minutes, hacking again. I'm like, oh, I just want to fix it for him. But we did not see Mr. Rogers today.
I had a I was chatting with a friend who listens to your station,
Yeah.
and she was commenting
Tell her we're
about
updating. Tell her we're updating.
yeah, and
More recent stuff is coming.
I was talking about resolutions and I'm just reminding you about the
I still have that.
resolution jar. Okay, and I want you to know I put my second week's. This is a good thing that happened to me this week, so I've added mine. I'm
Okay.
hopeful that you are at
I'm
yours.
probably,
But
I'll get,
anyway, I was talking to. Go ahead.
yeah, well, I'll get caught up. But I'll probably keep it electronically, like on the computer.
Sure.
Just
Yeah.
so it's here, and I'll be able to share it, and so on. That'll be my jar.
And I'm old school, so I've got the actual jar.
Yeah,
And I like the whole visual of
I'll do a
adding to
creative
jar.
thing of an overlay with the jar.
Anyway, I
and-
was talking to my friend solutions, and my friend
Yeah.
was happy to hear that we will be some days, many days, most days, maybe getting back to positive talk in a negative world, and hoping
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing the Mr. Rogers persona that you have resolved to be more
All right.
like. I'm sorry for the construction of that sentence. It was terrible. But anyway, Mr.
That,
Rogers,
we
how's
were
it
talking about that
going?
too.
How's it going? How's it going? Do we have any Mr. Rogers days this week? We have to capitalize on the positive,
So, yeah.
Can you tell us about
I
it?
don't remember specifics. No, because I don't remember specifics. But one of the beefs I have right now in my neighborhood is various neighbors who talked a big game and didn't put up or shut up. Oh, we'll be over to help you too, is what they said when they were tearing out right after the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody ever came over. Mm-hmm. Houses around here were gutted. Mm-hmm. And I'm still essentially locked out of the house because I can't move sofas that are blocking doorways, dressers that are blocking doorways to bedrooms. I can't do anything because it's just me. And then they get gutted and they start additional cleanup and next steps. I've helped them. I've helped them get their independent contractor license so they could work on their own house legally. Yeah, I've helped them with FEMA, which I still have not been approved for.
No kidding.
Yeah. And now, where do you think they're going to be putting money? Not down here.
Yep.
And, mate, you got to go outside, buddy. Let's go. Oh, that poor dog. But I'm forgiving. I'm forgiving. I see the various neighbors. I'm friendly. Mm-hmm. I had to change my schedule sort of. A week ago, one of them came to me and said, hey, one of the who didn't, wasn't respectful of their own word, they were going to help me change out electrical outlets because they had already done all theirs. So they know what to do. They raised them. And so the next time we get a flood, chances are they won't have to do it again because they're going to be higher. And the county's actually requiring it. He was going to help me. And he can't because now he's got tile coming, flooring. And even though there were 2 days where he wasn't here at all, That were the days he was supposed to be helping me.
Mhm.
And now he's got an electrician who I'm now going to have to pay to get this stuff done. And I said, no, I can't. This guy was only available on Thursdays. And he tells me about it last Thursday. So, I'm like, yeah, I actually, it's going to be 2 Thursdays ago, but this past Thursday, I went finally get over and asked, you know, showed some humility and said, okay, you know what? Second thought, I'm going to need this guy. I need to hook up my washer and dryer, and I need to put new
Mhm.
220 outlet for the dryer because the
Mhm.
last system was stacked. And so the dryer was up top.
Mhm.
Now the dryer is going to get moved over. That way, if I need to move things upstairs for the next flood, I'll be able to do it.
Mhm.
I'm swamped with
Mhm.
Yergz radio and getting that so close to being monetized. And I just got a letter, an email back from Domain Patterson from Derek and Romaine, one of the networks we're going to be on. We were possibly going to be on, and I should actually check it, but we were possibly going to be on WZQR in Pine Island, Florida today.
Ooh.
That was one of the additions. We are on, hopefully. We're supposed to be on KSHP in Vegas today, although that was only for the first hour.
Ah.
I can't check that one now. But oh Jesus, AQR FM. Yeah, I mean, and they've got 7 online stations. So there's the AM/FM station that they broadcast all kinds of things on, and then they get the online station for big band, another one for country, a third one for
Mm.
rock, a fourth one for concert hall music, like the symphony,
Ooh.
a fifth one for gospel.
Mhm.
I don't even know what this is. WZQR.FM Mordecai. Oh, Mordecai Jones composes and performs original music you'll not find anywhere else. So that's some
Okay.
dude or lady. I don't know. Is Mordecai a male or female?
Don't know.
Malachi is the guy from Children of the Corn. The kid that's like
Mm.
the bad leader of the kid that live in the corn. It's also my son's brother.
Yeah.
And then the 7th station is WZQR.FM Talks. It's the talk station. And they got everything from libertarian to parabnormal, para abnormal instead of paranormal.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so, yeah, that's where we'll be on for internet. But then it's my understanding we're going to be on the AM/FM stations as well. So we'll see. But if I click listen, so yeah, I mean the Mr. Rogers thing. It's a work in progress. I'll
That's allowed.
politely.
That's allowed. Sometimes it takes longer to remember to do that than to actually do that.
Yeah,
You know, we get into a habit of approaching the world and everything that's happening to us in a certain way. And then trying to change it is 90% of the battle. Remembering to change it is 90% of the battle. But it's tough. And we're surrounded, as you already alluded to so much heartbreak in this country. I mean, I cannot even imagine resurrecting one's life in California right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I kind of know what that's like.
Well, yes, I'm sure you do.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
actually,
I mean,
the first time I lost everything was from a house fire.
right,
That was
right.
between my second and third year of college. And that was just, wow, I don't have that again anymore. I don't have that anymore. Stuff from hockey,
Yep,
memorabilia, things like that.
yep, yep.
So,
So, yeah, you have a lot of experience relative to loss, actually.
yeah. And now a second time. Good for me.
Yeah.
It's easier this time.
Is it?
Um, some of the more important things I was able to either save or salvage. All of my studio equipment was high enough on a table. My other computer desk is one of those hydraulic desks that, at least used to go up and down. I doubt it does anymore now. But everything was on that desk and it was elevated as high as possible. And so anything that was underneath it, like one of the surge protectors was actually hanging by the wires and was underneath it. That was damaged. The power cables that were plugged into it were damaged. I had to get new cables for, I think, 2 of the monitors, but did that and everything's back to, so that's good. Some Secret Service memorabilia was on higher up on shelves. Certain books were higher up. And I forget where it's at, but there's one that is we just heard back from WX. I don't know why that's not coming up, but we just heard back from, but long story short, oh, there we go. It works fine. Shall we go ahead and schedule it? The only impediment will be our contractual obligation to carry Live 365 2-minute spot breaks once per half hour. We can figure this out later. As far as I'm concerned, we're happy to carry your program if agreeable. Monday and Friday, 11 to 1. Tuesday through Thursday, 11 to 12. Correct? Cordially, Bill Bro, President, General Manager. Yeah. So we're on in Pine Island. WZQR.
Very good.
But yeah, like the Secret Service stuff, I was able to also move to higher shelves or whatever. The ashes for Anton, my Rottweiler, and Moby, my Mastiff, who are here with me, were also at higher shelves. My watches, I have a small watch collection, but one is it wasn't. Occasionally I make smart purchases. Back in DC for around like my 10-year anniversary, I bought myself a Rolex for $7,000.
Whoa.
It's worth 3 times that now.
Nice.
A $21,000 watch that I would never be buying at this stage. I got an Omega, which is another couple $1,000s, not near as much, for my 5-year. And it was actually the watch Pierce Brosnan wore for his last James Bond movie. and the one Daniel Craig wore for his first two, I think. It's the Omega Seamaster.
Now, are these watches you wear?
Not when you have an
Have
Apple
worn?
Watch. No.
No, I'm wondering back in the
Oh, yeah.
day, were these watches you
Yeah.
wore and enjoyed wearing? Okay.
Yes and no. There were sometimes like when I would go to Belize, I would take the Rolex because some of the people that you're looking to buy a hotel from need to see that you're some level of means. So
Yes.
for my dad, we'd call it putting the act on. I
Yeah.
didn't like.
Is that what he would call
I
it?
didn't like show people what time it was by showing them my Rolex. But
Yeah.
if they saw it, great. If not, fine too. But I'll tell you, that was some of the most nervous I've ever been.
Wearing them.
Was taking it off and giving it to the TSA guys as I go through security,
Oh, yeah.
or having it in a hotel in a third world country while I'm out on the beach.
Yep.
So yeah, we don't do that anymore. And my kid brother, my baby brother, the youngest of the three, is like a watch. Well, he's a watch collector, and he gets these almost as equally expensive watches that I've never heard of. Everybody's heard of an Omega. Everybody's heard of a Tag Heuer. Everybody's heard of a Rolex. He gets these obscure, like they're made in a Landis jeweler. Oh, he just spit up. Like, say Landis jeweler makes their own watches, and they're thousands of dollars. Some friend of his might be coming across the ocean to Boyertown for him because he had a friend that was going to England. He said, "Here's a couple $1,000. Get me that watch." And the guy comes home with a $10,000 watch that nobody's ever heard of, but he's got it in his safe now. And hey, things are worth what people are willing to pay for it. But
it's interesting. It's interesting what pieces of art people are willing to invest in.
Sure.
Their investments.
Oh yeah. And
one of my good friends here in Boyertown is absolutely one of my good friends here in Boyertown is a watch guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he fixes watches that are, as you say, thousands and thousands of dollars. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And one of my fun stories that my friend told me is Thanksgiving is a really big holiday for them in the watch repairing business because people want to make sure their watches are ready to wear on Thanksgiving. So when they're passing the potatoes across the table, people can see. I mean, I never thought of that. Oh my God. So what you're talking about is because of her is really familiar. Yeah, it's funny. And of course, my, another good friend of mine, she and her husband invest in bicycles that are thousands of dollars. Okay. And they have them specially made and all that kind of thing. So I am amazed at what people find a value on which to spend their finances.
Yeah.
I mean, it just blows me away.
But
blows me away. It's great.
Kind of sort of get
Whatever.
bicycles. And if you that's what you're using, like there's people here that's all they drive to get around.
Well, this is not for that. It's a hobby. I mean, this gentleman has ridden a bicycle across the United States.
Okay, that's a little
from
far.
California to New York.
That's a little far.
From California to New York. Took him 6 weeks, he and a buddy, to traverse the country on wheels.
God love them, but wheels. No.
I know, but I love learning about what people are passionate about.
I bitch
I mean,
about a
it's just
flight that
amazing.
takes too long, or if I have a connection. What I got to
Yeah.
sit in coach to
So
go
it's
coast to coast?
how horrible,
Yeah.
huh? Very good, very good,
Last
very
week
good.
we got into, what was it? Gary
Okay.
Vaynerchuk, and it took up most of the show. So I'm going to take him
Yeah.
out. I'm going to force him to go outside.
Okay.
I'll listen on the phone as you tell everybody about Phil Ripko and his reading last night, and
That would
and then I'll be right back.
good.
See you in
Okay.
a minute.
All right. So Ross's suggestion to talk about Phil Repko. Phil Repko is a friend of mine. I've known him for many, many years. He and I were teaching colleagues at the high school. He taught English as I did, and he was the teacher I wanted my children to have to teach poetry because he was an excellent teacher of poetry and a poet himself. So this past yesterday, Sunday, he was at the studio talking about his first poetry book that was published in late November. And so I invited him to the studio to give a poetry reading and talk about his work and talk about himself a little bit and how he got into writing. And it was really fun. He packed the house. I mean, we had to keep bringing in chairs, finding chairs for people who would wander in during the couple of hours that he was scheduled to be there. But he read some of his poetry, and of course, I had questions for him about when he started writing, what inspires him as an author, and it was lovely to learn that once upon a time when he was a young kid, his mother said to him, "You should write a book someday," because I guess Phil said he was quite a storyteller. And he admitted that probably his mother did not have in mind that he would write a book of poetry. She probably had something else in mind, but there it is. Anyway, so he had a full house of people. Many of the folks who came were his family members, and he comes from a very large family himself. In fact, one of the questions I asked him was, okay, so you come from a large family, lots of brothers and sisters. Are any of them also writers? And so he talked about that a little bit, the members of his family that are also writers. But he also talked about, or many of the people who were there yesterday were members of his family, including, I believe, 6 grandchildren who were wandering in and out of the in and out of the room as he was trying to read his poetry and talk about himself. So, you know, it was lovely. And I just put together an article for the Boyertown Area Expression that has a really cute photograph of him with his 6 grandchildren. And so it was really fun. It was a very successful day. Last week, you may remember, Christina Leeson, psychic medium, was there. Next week, award-winning artist Barbara Post will be there talking about Washington, D.C.'s Smithsonian Portrait Gallery, which is one of my favorite galleries to visit because I love seeing how artists have responded to and tried to communicate the essence and personality and character and style of different presidents throughout the ages. And for example, their vice presidents and wives and all that kind of thing. But fascinating. It's a great museum. I just absolutely love it. Yep.
I'm trying to think if this is the one I've been to. Yeah. Yep. I've been to this a couple times.
Have you?
The Portrait Gallery. Yeah, that's
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what we did yesterday, and we're looking forward to Barbara Post next week.
Very
and
cool.
Then in February, we're looking forward to some writing workshops that my friend Sandra Williams is going to put together.
Yeah, didn't you say somebody's coming back twice or something like that?
Sandra has 2 sessions
Okay.
scheduled.
Yeah.
Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
February
yeah.
2nd and February 9th.
Yeah.
And the one on February 9th, she is talking about the Buddhist Eightfold Path. So that'll be fun. Just examining exactly what that means in terms of, finding happiness, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or living right, or, the Four Noble Truths, which include the Eightfold Path: right speech,
Right.
for example, right action, right intention, right, all kinds of things. So anyway, that'd be good.
Mom said she got to talk to you this time around.
Yes, yes, yes. She got a chance. We had a chance to chat briefly before the session started.
Okay.
So that was good.
Nice.
Yeah. And she and I will get together for lunch, and she wants Amy to come along. So
Oh, cool.
that'll be a good thing too. Yeah.
When do you think that's going to be?
Yeah. Sometime in February, she suggested. Yeah. Because this month is pretty well eaten up. Next week is pretty free. But after that, we install a new show at the gallery, and that's always a busy week.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be February before we know it.
When
Yeah.
is your when are we together in the morning next? When you have that monthly meeting?
That would be the 27th of January,
Okay.
because the 28th we have intake for a new show. So
Right.
it'll be the 20th.
So
That'll
it's
be
in
an
2
11
weeks.
to
It's the week
11:45.
after.
Yeah. Yeah. The last Monday of the month, whenever it is. Sometimes
No,
it's
oh,
the
it's the
fourth
last.
Monday,
Okay. Gotcha.
and sometimes it's the 5th Monday. It depends, but it's always the last Monday. So anyway, that's it. But we were going to talk about or address some questions that were included in an Expression article I published. What storms are you bracing for in the year ahead? For you.
Yeah. I'm
How are
anxious
you,
to
how are you
see.
bracing for future storms? Go ahead. We've talked
Well,
about that.
literally, yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
I'm also actually anxious to see, because you talked about like the what did you say? The flexibility, like
Yes.
moving into
How
2025.
can you meet them with flexibility and faith?
Yeah. But also, you had asked me, to what will you meet with flexibility,
Mhm.
and what are you staying
Firm
rigid
about.
on? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And
Where do you
I'm
feel called
anxious
to
to
stand
hear.
firm? Where do you need to bend and adapt? Go.
Yeah. I'm anxious to hear what you have to say about the Trump supporters in your life.
The Trump supporters in my life? Okay.
With my interest and goal of being more
More
Red
Mr.
Rogers.
Rogers? Yeah. Well, I'm good.
Do you think that's going to rub off on you, or
What?
do you think that's going to rub off on you, or
No,
is that
no,
only
no.
going to happen in the land of make
Well,
believe?
I've expressed this to a variety of different friends, who are really frustrated and don't know where to go with their frustration and their anger and action. What do we do now? Oh my God. Okay. And for me, and I was just talking about this in another context with a friend who's having trouble moving on from a crisis.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Okay.
it's like sometimes in that situation with my friend, and it applies to politically, let's say, sometimes you just can't do anything in the moment except wait for the moment. And that's where I am right now. I had read a meme or a post somewhere, probably on Facebook, and it was, pretty harsh, saying that there is no protest that's going to make any bit of a difference right now. There's no march. There are no lawsuits. Nothing is going to matter to move forward the direction we'd like to see the country moving forward. Diversity, acceptance of diversity, for example, protection of the environment, just as 2 examples, let's say, of the progressive attitude.
But
Those are
also,
important. Those
also,
are important to me.
but
Okay.
also protection of to be fair and to be both sides, also for the protection of conservative ideals that
Whatever.
they feel are being assaulted. Maybe they're not being assaulted. Maybe we're not trying to indoctrinate kids with drag queens and
With
talking about
pride
five
flags and
different
so forth.
sexes instead of two and so on. But they feel that's happening.
Correct. And we have to let them touch the stove, as my husband says.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And until that happens, until the consequences of the decision are felt and recognized and realized, there's really not a darn thing we can do. And so for me right now, it's all about being patient and waiting for the moment. And in the meanwhile, as I tell friends, the election has happened. We have learned who we are as a country. I have learned that in many ways I'm an alien in this country. But waiting for any viable moment to do something, waiting is what needs to be done right now. Meanwhile, I have work to do. Meanwhile, you have a show to run, Positive Talk in a Negative World. Meanwhile, I've got Be Inspired podcast episodes to record. Meanwhile, with the expression, I want to feature those people in my world, whether they're red or blue or whatever, who are doing wonderful things. And there are people from all sides of the aisle who are doing wonderful, inspiring things. And so my work
Yeah.
continues. It continues in the same way that it always has. It's just that, any forward movement in some of the things I care about cannot happen right now until the consequences of the choices are realized. And perhaps then there will be a moment, there will be a crack where we can say, not "I told you so," but more like, what can we do together to make things a little bit better? And those things to make things a little bit better will come from some of the ways that I see the world needs to be more accepting, more tolerant, more conscious, more what do you say, conscious of climate issues. I mean, when do we start to realize that some of these things need to happen? Matter of fact, Donahue Savage, and you know her because
Mm-hmm.
you've done some interviews with her. She and I are on a mission. She wrote to me a little while ago and said, I just read a book called Braiding Sweetgrass. And she said, it's inspiring. And what she loved about it was that there needs to be reciprocity. There needs to be an understanding that the world is not a zero-sum game, that we need to create a win-win situation in all sorts of ways. And in Braiding Sweetgrass, it talks about how the Native Americans were very conscious about not denigrating their environment, about taking but also giving back, that's how the world works in a healthy way. And anyway, she said, I want to get together. Can we do some podcast episodes? Invite people who are doing things in a win-win situation, in a non-zero sum game way, in a reciprocity type way, and have Be Inspired episodes talking to them. And I was really happy to do that because I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun to have
Yeah.
three of us in conversation for a series, perhaps, of people talking about what they are doing in a reciprocal kind of way. And also, talking about Braiding Sweetgrass, because it's an absolutely beautiful book and I recommend it highly. So that's kind of what's happening in my world. And that's how I'm approaching our red state folks, waiting for a moment where we can really talk and make sense to one another without getting defensive. it's hard to do, because
Yeah.
I'm so full of frustration and full of anger and full of de- depression, about the direction
Yeah,
I see the country is heading. And it's
absolutely.
hard to retain that. I mean, contain that. It's hard to contain
Mhm.
that. You want to bust out and say, idiot, or things worse, as
Yeah,
you had alluded to
yeah,
earlier on in the program.
right.
But that's not helpful. You know, Getting people defensive about who they are, who they voted for, what they believe in, what they did believe in, what they're maybe sorry for now, it's not going to be helpful. So, it's a process of waiting. And I don't know that that's the smartest thing, but that's what I'm bound to do. There you go. Answer your
Yeah.
question?
So, yeah, I he's my man crush. I gotta keep saying it. David Beckmeyer
Yep.
said
Same.
that's
Mhm.
gonna be the most challenging thing to do
Mhm.
is to not rub it in their face
Yep. Yep. Yep.
and is to provide the welcoming, safe environment.
Safe environment. Yep. That's
Yeah, and that's one of our
yes.
things, us
Yes.
libtards want to create a safe
Yes.
environment for everybody.
Safe environment. Yeah.
Time
Yeah.
for us to
Yep.
practice what we preach,
Exactly. We have
really.
to be the safe environment. Well, I was also reading an article that relates to that somehow, and I don't know if it's worth bringing up, but I was reading an article about
Sure.
narcissists.
Yeah.
Narcissist is a
I
word
don't know
these
why that
days
would come to
that's
mind at all.
but is a word very popular diagnosis of people these days. We go around calling them narcissists, and that's the worst thing we can do, is to confront. That's the absolute worst thing to do, is to confront.
Is it?
Because yes, according to psychologists, according to the worst thing to do is to confront. There
Well,
there are other ways to
would
live
it
in the
be
world of, but confronting won't work because these folks are really skilled at turning things
okay,
to you.
so that's something else
Yeah.
David said earlier on,
Oh,
before
yeah?
we even had the election, if you remember. He said, with what makes so much sense to you and me, to not vote for Donald Trump. You're a school teacher. You've been to an educational platform a little bit beyond high school.
Mhm.
And then you continued that education throughout your career.
Mhm.
I went to college. I went to the Olympic Training Center twice. I went to
Mhm.
umpire school, a police academy,
You elitist.
and
You're an
two federal
elitist.
law enforcement academies.
You're an
Yeah.
elitist. What do you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And here I
You don't
sit.
live in the real
Yeah,
world.
I went to
Yeah.
all that, and here I sit. Yeah, look what that did
Yeah,
for
yeah.
me. But but
Huh.
we see Donald Trump as a poor choice. We saw Donald for
Mhm.
8 years, for 9 years, I saw him as a bad choice.
Mhm.
And my statement, if you remember, was the people, and before the election, way before the election, in this whole past election cycle, the people who are still supporting him
Mhm.
are the ones we need to help the most, because they're the ones that don't have that education like you and I do. And
Exactly.
David said, "You're wrong." The
Yeah.
most difficult ones to convince that he's going to be a bad choice are the ones with the education that you and I have,
Mhm.
because just like you and I are saying right now, we are so educated and so worldly and experienced. We've got so much built in, developed common sense. How could we be wrong? And the problem is they're
Well,
thinking the
not
same
only
thing.
listen, not only that, those of us who have achieved have achieved don't want to lose the power, don't want to lose what we have acquired.
Roe versus Wade.
Those are the people in my mind. I mean, they're so afraid of losing power, of giving it to somebody else, of sharing the power, of sharing the wealth, of doing all those kinds of things, or helping people to get to where they are because they feel that they will lose their stance.
Well, when
They
you
will
say about
lose
losing
their.
power and lose
Mhm.
what we've achieved, gay marriage, Roe versus Wade, civil rights,
Mhm.
it's all gone.
I know.
The last time Trump was in office, he removed the gay community as a protected class. I'm so grateful that I made it through his administration with a job, because of the 3 times that I was illegally investigated by the Secret Service for nothing else than for being gay. 2 of them happened during his administration. And I believe essentially the third was really what said, okay, you know what? Let's quit while we're ahead, and is what steered me in the direction of retiring.
Mhm.
I won't say that I was forced out so much as it
Yeah, you
was,
were.
wait a minute, you're going to pay me $72,000 take home? No, that's gross. That was gross my first year. You're going to pay me $72,000 to not come here and put up with this shit? Bye. Win-win.
They made it
You
worth your while.
you get
Yeah.
rid of me and I get
Yeah.
rid of you.
Yeah.
And so, but the downside is, I said on our Friday episode, what we're now calling, by the way, Friday Fights, you should tune into that. You'll love it. Blake
What
and
time?
I,
11?
same time, yeah, and it's the full 2 hours.
Okay.
Those guys are with me for the full 2 hours. Um,
Friday
Blake and
Fights. That's a good title. I like that.
Get at each other.
That's
Last week
great.
I called him a right-wing nut job, and I kind of sort of feel bad, but I just think that, like so many on the MAGA side, and he is not a MAGA supporter. In fact, his podcast is called The Homeless Conservative. And I've been,
Oh,
trying to push him to put it on Yergz radio.
yeah.
But like the MAGA side, there's just so much hypocrisy in the conservative
Well,
movement
let
right
me ask you this. Let me get back to the key of the question.
now. Yeah,
We talked about being flexible. Let's
right.
talk about being firm. What are some things you, I mean, I can talk about mine,
Yeah,
but what are some things I intend to stand firm on? And my firm stance has to do with climate. My
yeah,
firm stance has to do with civil rights, with human rights, and that includes the right to have an abortion.
yeah.
That is not up to my neighbor to decide what I do with my life. I mean, if you want to judge me as a murderer, let God do that,
Have at it.
not
Yeah.
my neighbor.
Well, see, there's 2 things about
So
that right there.
if somebody comes to me with those things, I'm not going to be silent. I'm not going to be patient. I'm going to say what I have to say about climate and about human rights for sure. Okay.
Yeah,
And that includes the whole gay,
sure.
transgender, all
Right.
those kinds of, that's all on women's rights. That's all under human rights. And I will not stay silent about that.
I'm not
Okay.
for transgender athletes competing against each other.
I am not, wait a minute. Transgender competing against transgender, that makes sense to
No,
me.
no.
I mean,
The famous
but
story,
athletes who are transgender who are participating in,
right?
I think you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yes.
Yeah, I'm not for
Here's the
that.
famous
I'm not
story.
for that either.
There was
I'm not for that
a
either.
male
Nope.
swimmer at Penn
Right.
who
Yep.
transitioned to be a female,
To a female. Right.
and he was on a good day as a male athlete, 4th place amongst other
As
male
a
athletes.
female.
He
Mhm.
transitions and now identifies as a female, is competing against females, is changing in the locker room with females,
hmm
and he wins.
Yeah.
And
No, I
that's
think that needs to be a separate sport.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
No. Transgender female against transgender female, great. Transgender female against female? No, sir.
But
Mm-mm.
see, and
No,
here's the
I'm with
problem with
you on
that.
that.
Of like, I just learned this last week. Of like, in fact, I think it was Blake that said it. Of like 25,000 collegiate athletes around the country, there's like 11 that are transgender.
I understand. That's the problem. Okay.
And so, but that's also the thing about Blake and so many others on the right, was they're making a big deal out of about 11 people.
I know.
And they're thinking that
Yes.
this is a
Yes. I hear
mainstream
you.
concern. And
Yeah.
now I'm
Like it
getting,
really matters. We should be fighting about this. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what they ran on, and that's what won it for them.
Yes.
Because
That's
their
exactly
crappy
right.
message
Yep.
was less crappy than Kamala's. My things are a bit
Yeah.
more general, I think, even though
That you're standing firm on?
Yeah. Yeah.
That you're
But
standing
it
firm
will
on. Okay, go.
certainly encompass what you're talking about. And my biggest thing is the hypocrisy. How
Okay.
Ron DeSantis is down here in
But when
Florida.
you do that, you get people defensive, and it's like confronting narcissism. It won't help you.
Yeah.
But
I
at the
know.
same time, I'm glad you do it. I guess it needs to be done. Somebody has to do it.
And
Just
that was-
don't expect
yeah.
to change anybody's mind.
That was-
That's it.
I have to do, because I spend so much time on my phone.
Yes, you do. Yes,
I
you do.
have to do better with when I see an email that I want to talk about on the show, or
Yeah.
when I see a post on Facebook or somewhere,
Yeah.
like the one that I lost today. I have to do a better way of
Saving
it. What's the word?
Filing?
Collating. Yeah. Yeah.
What I have done is screenshots.
I've
When
done
I
that.
see something that I want to save, I if I can't save it as a photo,
Mhm.
sometimes I can save memes as a photo, as an image.
Yeah.
Sometimes it won't let me, so I take a screenshot.
Yep.
And then I've got it.
So the thing I wish I would have done with that post that we were talking about before, and I went on my hour 1 rant on, I wish I would have just forwarded the link to the post to myself. I text myself
Exactly.
all the time,
I do it too.
because of whether it's I'll send something to myself on the Facebook Messenger, because it crosses over from my iPhone, which
Yes.
is Apple, to my
Yes.
computer here, which
Yes.
is Windows.
Yes.
I can't text
Yep.
myself here, or
Yep.
just something in the heat of the moment to do it quickly. I will text myself phone to phone, so at least I have it somewhere for later.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, I got to get better at doing it on some of these more important
Yep.
ideas.
Yep. Yep.
And I say the hypocrisy because I've
Yeah, that's a
multiple
good one.
times experienced this same thing. But I think it might have been a YouTube video or something I was watching, or maybe it was a post on Facebook, but I was watching a guy talk to, we'll just say, to Jane Stahl, trying to convince this crazy Jane Stahl lady that, Trump is not the right thing. And in as many sentences, she says about how this fake Jane Stahl lady says about how she's not for people infringing on her rights and not for people getting in her business. And damn it, abortion should be illegal across the whole country.
Oh, no.
And he's like, did
Wait.
you just hear yourself?
Wait. Yes.
And that's the hypocrisy that I'm talking about, that
Yeah.
I've had,
Yeah.
I'll say, years of frustration
Yeah.
in dealing with Trump supporters.
Yeah.
Like, would you just say everything you just said out loud and look in a mirror, or record yourself, or do something so you can go back and go, God, I got to start drinking again. Or maybe I should stop.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
and I
No,
was just so
I tell you what.
relieved.
I tell you what. You have the personality. I do not. You have the personality that can do that effectively. Address the hypocrisy. I couldn't do it. So, I'm a coward.
I often, because of being in radio and streaming and so on, and I said I wanted to do something like what Phil did, and what you're doing at the studio, except with me being more of a political, I see how you can't have me there. Oh, I see how you couldn't have me there, but I just have like daydreams of talking politics
Mhm.
and doing it at a venue like Studio B
Mhm.
or the Orioles
Mm.
or the other farm,
Mhm.
some community venue that could handle a crowd like what I would draw, with some promotion on like Studio B and um, other podcasts and at the venue and whatever else.
Mhm.
And I just say, but in that case, and I can say this in so many other different communities, my own here in Hudson, I just say, but it's Boyertown. And as so many Boyertown or Southeastern PA, Philly people say, I don't mean that in a bad way, but
But
there are so many, and I won't call them conservatives because they're not.
Mhm.
There are so many maggots. There are so many Trump supporters
Mhm.
that would want to come and not hear about my career in the Secret Service, or not have the intelligent conversation that we need to be ready to have and discuss politics.
Well, I'm
But they'll
wondering
want
if
to do the
and
Facebook
when we
fight
can.
in person.
Right. I'm wondering if, you're talking about at a venue like Studio B, and I'm wondering if intelligent discussions about issues without referring to maggots, without referring to Trump supporters, without using terms like progressives and conservatives, just eliminating the labels.
Mhm.
If the topics can be discussed without the labels. Try that.
I would say somebody like you and or me, as we organize it, would have to bring in people that we know, you and I know, are from both sides of the political spectrum. If we were to have a panel,
Absolutely.
so
Yep.
we would bring in Donna Usavage, and
Yeah.
her name is
And
escaping me, but we would also bring in the girl I interviewed on when Up the Middle was a pre-recorded podcast. Actually, no, I think I was doing it as part of Yergz Tonight because it was live. But the girl who said she was not for Moms for Liberty, the lady that was not for Moms for
yeah.
Liberty, who ran for school
And I
board,
can't remember her name. Yeah.
and we should,
I know who
yeah, that might not be true. And we just
Yeah.
say, and this person ran for school board. That's all. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
And this is Donna Usavage. She's a political activist in the community and former school board member. and they hug on
Yep.
stage and pretend like they're all friends and
Yeah.
and more
Yeah.
than just the two
Yep.
of them.
Yep.
And obviously, throughout the course of the evening, their political affiliations or ideologies will come out, or they're not. It's going to be a boring night. You know, the only reason
Well, that's
they're
the
gonna,
thing
they're going
also.
to have to
Yeah.
answer questions.
Yeah.
That's why they're here.
Yeah. But if we if one if labels could be eliminated, those kinds of sessions is what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
might work, might be
Yeah.
able to be managed. If that becomes at the top of the program, we're talking about the issue. But it's hard these days to say we only want to deal with the facts because people
Well, and that was the other thing.
there are
In
alternative
addition
facts.
to
There
the
are
hypocrisy,
alternative facts.
is the
Yeah.
projection.
Yes.
The projection.
Hey, listen, my computer says it's 12:59.
Yep.
So we should sign off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergz.
I'm Jane Stahl.
And I'm Yergz.
And this is both. And this is both sides now in some form.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely. I to finish that thought. What was I going to say? We were talking about venues and such. I'll go back and listen to it, and I'll send you a text message. I think I started it. Damn it! hypocrisy, and projection. The left.
Oh my God, projection.
And this is what I'll leave everybody with. The left is not the ones who came up with the phrase alternative facts.
Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll leave you all with that.
Okay. And we'll come back to that and see how we have managed to try to be more Fred Rogers in the next week and to be more patient in the next week, waiting for opportunities to be effective. Sound good?
Sounds great. Now, I do need to tell you this part because with speaking of Fred Rogers.
What? Oh, no.
One of those daydreams, and I'll make this quick.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to go. I've got something in a half an hour or so. One of those daydreams was I imagined somebody asking me, because one of the guys I watch on YouTube, self-help guy, Alex Hormozy, I'll put his link in the field notes. Yeah, the show notes. I just kind of had like if I was at one of his presentations and I told him I was in broadcasting and streaming and what have you, who are the people that I look up to aspire to be like? So I answered that with my top 4, counting down to number 1. Number 4, you ready? Rush Limbaugh.
Get real.
Yep.
And we're going to talk more about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Number 3. Number 3. Number 3.
Which one was next? Probably there were 4. There were 2 kind of sort of liberal or presumably liberal, I don't know, and 2 conservative. So Rush Limbaugh, I think 3 was Dick Clark, because not only, he was music, not politics, but he was also, Matrix is sleeping or dreaming, but he was also very a pioneer in bringing music,
definitely,
not just to the radio, but to TV.
Okay.
Number 2, of course, we got to get this guy in here somewhere. Howard Stern, because also again, love him or hate him.
Okay. Yeah,
And that's really what all
absolutely.
3 have in
Absolutely.
common, is that he was a pioneer.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't Dick Clark, so I'll go with 5. Number 2, of course, Fred Rogers.
Okay.
So we got Rush Limbaugh, Dick Clark, Howard Stern is probably number 2, Fred Rogers number 3. Yeah, time to go. And number 1,
Okay.
Paul Harvey.
Okay.
So that's a mix.
Okay.
That's definitely a mix.
Pioneers.
And that's
Pioneers.
really what they all
Pioneers.
have in
Pioneers.
common.
Pioneers.
You know, Paul
Yeah, I
Harvey
will.
was one of the
I'll think
first
about
to
that. I'll think
actually
about that.
use his
That's
sponsor.
going to be our next show.
Okay.
That's going to be our next show.
What
Yeah.
who are
We've got our topic for next.
so
Yeah,
that means
because I have to think
expect
about that.
I expect your 5 also.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've got to think about that. I got to
Yep.
narrow things down and figure out the good reasons why.
Yep.
I could riff about it, but I'd rather think about it first. So
Yeah.
next time,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
All right, we'll
Okay.
see you then,
And
everybody.
I encourage our audience, you know, if when you're listening and you've got a top 5 too, share
Yeah.
it with us. That would be good.
So
Okay.
they'll be able to do that because this week we're getting back with flowsend.ai, and I'll be able to
Okay.
process this episode to create
Okay.
the RSS feed that we used to have more regularly. I got away from that when we went live, but we'll repurpose this
Okay.
into an RSS feed podcast. So those who prefer to listen
Fantastic.
that way can do so.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because I do know people who look for it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
All
Have a
right, you
good
too.
week.
All right, everybody.
And I'm I'm excited about next week.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
Bye.
As always. All right. See you again.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay.
All right. So we got some things in the chat here to kind of Tim Philosophy saying yay. Hey. Oh, nice. Somebody joining from Twitch. Awesome. Awesome. That was kind of slow for a while. Mordecai, thanks for that, man. Tim Philosophy says that Mordecai is usually a male name. But that's not the same. That's not the one from Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn was Malachi, right? Am I right about that? That's also, like I said, the young man that I adopted going on 3 years ago. One of his biological brothers is Malachi. Also from Twitch checking in. Blah. Lars, super fan of ours from over in Europe. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. I missed our meeting yesterday. Were you on the call yesterday with Nick? I use notes on iPhone as well. And again, as I experienced when I was putting together the flow chart for Yergz.com, the new version of Yergz.com that is supposedly out. I'm going to give them till next week, but it's supposedly coming out possibly this week. We'll see. I use that too. But when I took a screenshot of it, it wasn't the whole notepad. And so I wasn't able to transfer. I didn't know until it was too late, until days later, I went to transfer it to this system here, which is Windows, and not all of it was there. So I sent that note thinking everything was there to my web developer, and he didn't have half of it. And there's a cute face he's making for us. So yeah. So next week, our top 5 people that we look up to, and I guess we'll have to say that professionally, because obviously, both my parents are on there somewhere. I'll probably just keep the list. Maybe I'll expand it to 10, and I'll just keep the list at broadcasters, just to keep it, tight with this. But because obviously, hopefully your parents are somebody that you'll look up to, or other family members as well. So yeah, I have training
see, it's almost 10 after 1 locally here in the East Coast. At 1:30, I have training in using our phone system. We didn't get a chance to use it today, but next week, make sure you get this number down because we'll certainly want to hear what your top 5 people that influence you or who you look up to. You can do that by calling 1-888-88-YERGZ, 1-888-88-YERGZ, or 844-GAY-LGBT. That's right. That's also my phone number. All right, everybody. You can email me and everybody here at Yergz Radio, Mastiff Media, whoever, by writing to news, NEWZ, at Yergz, YERGZ.com. Blake joins us on Fridays. He's the host of The Homeless Conservative. You can get him at Blake at thehomelessconservative.com. That's Blake Fisher. Matt Deemer also joins us on Fridays. Matt at dailycryptonews.net. That is supposedly coming back to Yergz Radio. I'm a little slow with that, but we'll get that as part of the Yergz Radio News Hour. God, my nose itches. And also you can get him at info@deemerforcongress.com. Deemer is DIEMER. DNR Studios will be on there soon enough. As you heard, I got that email back from Romaine during the course of the show today. Check them out, dnrstudios.com. You can manage your content of your episodes by going to yergz.flowsend.ai. We're getting our account back up and running this week, hopefully. Really looking forward to that. Jane Stahl can be reached by going to Studio BBB, 3 capital B's, .org, .com, .net. Little Austin Powers thing for you, but it's .org. Yergz.com and Mastiff.media are under construction right now. I think Mastiff.media is up. You can get other links to where you can watch or listen to the show at Mastiff.media. Once that gets relaunched, that's going to be much more robust and really cool site, as will be Yergz.com. All right, gang. That's it. I am going to get ready for my training session that is in 19 minutes. And yeah, looking forward to it. That way we can use the phones a lot better, a lot easier, a lot more robust system once I know how to use it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for going with the big dogs up the middle. We'll see you tomorrow.